you just made a comment how you had no problem, taking out bad guys when the time came. Obviously, that was a long time ago. You do different stuff now. But what I'm curious about is, you're a Christian. We've talked about, you talked about being close with the chaplain, being a religious man. How did you balance, I'm a Christian and I am in a job that requires me to take human life at the same time? Was that ever a struggle for you, or how did you equal that out?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a struggle. Obviously, my worldview and understanding, the difference between good and evil, it was pretty helpful that a lot of the guys we were going after are really bad people. I tell people, if we showed up on your doorstep, there was a good reason for it. In most cases, yeah, it was really kind of my faith background and what I believe in. Romans chapter 13 talks about governing authorities, and specifically the one who bears the sword. So those that execute justice on behalf of God and the government and whatnot. So for me, that was very clearly defined. I didn't have a moral struggle with that at all. And the times we had to go, take life, very, very bad men, came back, had dinner and went to bed and slept great, and got up in the morning and, did it again.
I've found that a lot of guys I've interviewed tend to be religious to varying degrees, but a lot of them say they're religious. In your experience, what percentage of the guys you used to work with would you say had at least a minimum level of religious beliefs?
I'd probably say about 75%. And that varied, of course, talk about what we define as religion, but someone who believes in God and, prays and things like that, I'd say, to be a conservative, 50 to 75%.
And would you say, if you broaden that out to the whole military, would you say the world you came from, it was more likely you'd have religious guys within the team, or would you say that the rate for the military is probably the same no matter what unit you're in?
And that's a hard question. I don't have any personal experience in, the rest of the Army, if you will. So it would be hard to make that distinction. I think overall the culture is changing. So just basically looking at culture and everything that's going on, I would probably say that percentage is lower out in the conventional Army.
Got it. And we are going to talk here not that long about kind of the country culture, how we can, iron some stuff out. You were talking about evil, and this is a question I'm always fascinated to ask guests who actually gone toe-to-toe with the worst of the worst that humanity has to offer. For you personally, did your mindset change when you're weighing, we're just fighting professional soldiers, maybe they don't even want to be here, compared to, if we take this, compared to people who will behead people on camera? Zarqawi, for example, is the famous, Nick Berg was killed in, I believe, 05 or 06. I could be off a little bit by a year. There's plenty of videos on the internet from that era of these scumbags chopping heads off. Were you more excited and more eager to fight guys like that, or did it not matter to you if they were the enemy, whether standing soldier in an army or a terrorist? It didn't matter to you?
Yeah, it didn't matter to me, but in my line of work, in our line of work, I would actually, we're going after the real, really bad people that are closer to animals, behead, rape, kind of do all those things. So it was actually more of a pleasure to take care of those guys. But I would tell you, so when you think about war and how you conduct yourself in war, the rules of engagement, morally, legally, ethically, all the things apply, whether you're, talking about, a uniformed soldier or you're talking about a terrorist who blends in with the population.
Well, and that's actually a great blending in with the population. I didn't even think about this for the question, but now you've piqued my curiosity. How difficult is it to figure out who's a good guy and a bad guy in an environment where the bad guys aren't wearing uniforms? They could have the suicide vest on under their clothes. They're dressed just like the innocent guy, the innocent farmer who's just trying to survive the day. I mean, how are you able to identify good guy, average guy? That dude is that dude's about to kill somebody when they're all dressed and look the exact same.
Yeah. In some cases, it could be incredibly hard, which is why you have to ask questions and things like that. But to answer your question, I would say behavior, right? And that's where your intelligence and everything comes in to look at a problem set enough to, determine that the behavior that this individual or group of people are exhibiting kind of leads you down that path of them being a bad guy.
That's interesting. Yeah, I can't. I mean, personally, I can't envision myself having the ability to. It just seems so unbelievably. You'd be anxious at all times. At least I would be, not knowing who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Do you think the average American understands at any level how evil some people in this world are?
I don't think so.
And let's unpack that a little bit. What are they not getting? What do they not understand?
Oh man. That they don't understand that some people are capable of extreme evil. Like the kinds of things that make a bad horror movie, look incredibly good. I think we all, to some extent, like to have faith in fellow humans. Obviously, you couldn't walk around this world, looking at everyone like, I wonder if this guy's a, horrible, evil person. I think that's why when like serial killers come out or they're caught, people are like, man, that guy was my neighbor for 25 years and he just seemed like the nicest guy. So I think generally speaking, we like to look at other people and think, okay, that person was generally good. But there are people in this world that are very evil, prey upon the innocent, they're oppressors. And I don't think that there's any amount of diplomacy or logic or reason that's going to really help them out. And so that's why you have law enforcement. That's why you have military, so on and so forth. But obviously those have to, that has to play out morally, legally, and ethically as it should. So then, you don't turn around as a soldier and be the guy just killing someone. But yeah, really great question. I think, plus here in the United States, we've been shielded from so much. You know what I mean? Aside from like school shootings and all those things, that kind of really brings it to the forefront of the conversation every time it happens. But look, man, we've been a free country. We've been relatively secure. For the most part, everybody goes about their business. They kind of get what they want at the snap of a finger. Life's generally good. I think there are certain parts of the population, like gang violence and things like that. They're very well aware of that. But for like the average American who's, quote, living the American dream, like we're not exposed to that. And so the idea that, there would be someone that would want to, say, come to this country and chop your head off or, kill a bunch of innocent people, that seems foreign to them because it's it always has been. We've always sent soldiers overseas somewhere else, to fight wars. And we've been, with the exception of 9/11 and a few other cases, have been shielded